That took longer than I expected. Hey guys, welcome back to another TV show review, and this time we're going to talk about Luke Cage Season 2. Now before I start my review, this video is going to contain some minor spoilers for Luke Cage Season 1, as well as The Defenders Season 1. You've been warned. I love Luke Cage Season 2. This is perhaps the most human superhero story that I've seen in a long time. I am very surprised that a lot of people didn't like this season of Luke Cage, but for me personally, this is as good as it's gonna get in terms of comic book adaptation on a small screen. Luke Cage Season 2 reminds us that doesn't matter if this character is a hero or a villain, good or evil, they are very much a human being like us. They have their own motivation, they have their own dreams, they want to do good by their people. They just have different approach, they just have, different way to go about it. They just have, different method of doing things. And some methods, let's just say they are a bit more questionable than others. Before this season, Luke Cage is my third favorite Defenders of the four. But after watching this season, she's probably my second favorite now. He's edged out Jessica Jones. At this point, my culture is Luke Cage. He has embraced this character. He did an amazing job playing this character, especially in this season, because my biggest criticism of Luke Cage as a character in the first season is that he is, a bit too perfect. He is way too good of a person to make him a compelling character, right? I really enjoy his character in the first season and also in The Defenders. But as a person, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just too good of a person. You know what I mean? But in this season, they sort of explore the psyche of the character of Luke Cage and, show us, the audience, of how he is flawed. He is not a perfect man. Because he got this, anger issues going on that I find really interesting. And it pushed the people that he loves away. It pushed Claire away, pushed his father away, and you just kind of see how, being a reluctant hero sort of affected him and how it's affected the people around him. Claire Temple, played brilliantly by Rosario Dawson, is once again just a blast to watch. And I love the fact that their romance feels like a real real life romance. Like they felt like a real couple. Like they went through, fight, argument, just everything that you expect, a couple, a normal couple to go through. They went through it, and it is very real. The emotions are raw, and it's not manipulative. Like that's the biggest praise that I could give the writers when it comes to writing the romantic part. They didn't force in music, dramatic music, or they're not telling the audience how to feel. They're just letting these two brilliant actors do their thing, and the audience, when I watch it, I connect with those characters, and so I feel what they feel. And instead of the writers and the directors and the actors telling the audience, you should be sad, or you should be happy, or you should laugh. It's nothing like that. The emotions are real and authentic. I really love Luke and Claire relationship. There are a couple of new characters and also some returning characters from the first season who didn't have that big of a role. There's this character named Comanche, and I love this character so much because the whole time he was on screen, his main job is to piss off Shays. That's all he does. He just say things that, if Shay wasn't his best friend, he's gonna get his ass whooped. And speaking of Shays, I feel like after this season, he is my new favorite character of the Luke Cage series. In the first season, he was really enjoyable. The performance from Theo Rossi was really cool. But he was kind of this minor character. He was like the Cottonmouth, and later on Mariah's sort of right-hand man, right? So he didn't have that big of a role to play. But in this second season, his character was fully fleshed out, and the writers did a great job humanizing the character of Shay, using Comanche as the driving force. The two actors have amazing chemistry, and the camaraderie between the two felt so authentic. And their relationship came to a point, to a turning point. I'm not gonna spoil what it is, but it came to a turning point, right? And a character made a big decision. And that moment, I was tearing up. I was welling up. And the fact that it came from the character of Shays, the guy who's like, he's like every time he's like, you know, he's trying to be dramatic and like walk out of the room, put on like sunglasses, like, you know, like he was that kind of character in the first season. But in this season, they brought him down to earth, and he felt like a real human being. And I love this character so much. I can't talk about him too much because, you know, that would be, you know, spoiler and stuff. But I really love what I did with the character of Shays in this season. It was heartbreaking. Let's just put it that way. It was heartbreaking. The new villain of the show, Bushmaster, he was a great addition, and the actor Mustafa Shaki, he did an amazing job. He is the perfect example of how one person's actions could effectively change society view on a certain group of people. Like how we would, you know, put down judgment and, you know, have like certain expectation when it comes to like a certain group of people or like certain minority groups based on the actions of like maybe one or two individuals. But I wouldn't call him a villain, because the real villain of the season would be Mariah. Bushmaster as a character, he's more like anti-hero. He's more like a wild card. Think of him as the Joker from a Suicide Squad, but executed better. He's one of the few characters who could, you know, put up a fight against Luke Cage, because Luke Cage is so strong. So you needed someone who could like have like a hand-to-hand combat with Luke Cage, and you know the fight scene in this season are top notch. A big improvement from the first season, because you know like how Luke Cage, he's not really a martial artist, so you know he got some training. He used to be a cop. He got some training for sure, but he's not like Matt Murdock. He's not Iron Fist. So you know the fight scene with him is there's a lot of like punching, grabbing, throwing, right? You know, block, punch. So not a lot of variety when it comes to like you know fighting styles. But then you throw in this character Bushmaster, who is an amazing martial artist. So the fight scenes are a lot better and more exciting compared to the first season. He whooped Luke Cage's ass, man. But as a character, he is totally believable. Like his motivation and why he does what he does and why he is the way that he is totally believable. And the writing, once again, I have to give the writers major credits for writing this character so well. But there are a lot of exposition when it's come to, you know, fleshing out the character of Bushmaster. I would have preferred a little bit more showing instead of telling, because a lot of the time he would just like tie up a character on a chair and like tell them, have like a villain montage, right? Telling them, you know, why he's doing this and, you know, trying to be evil and stuff. So I would have preferred a little bit of like flashback, kind of like what they did in, I want to say, episode 11, when they have like flashback of Bushmaster as a child. But listen, when you have that accent, when you have that beautiful Jamaican accent, like I could listen to this guy talk for days without being bored. Like I love that accent so much. Like you thought the Wakandan accent was hot, wait until you hear this Jamaican accent. Now Mariah Dillard is a very interesting case because I love the performance. I think Alfre Woodard deserved an Emmy, at least an Emmy nomination for this performance. But her character arc didn't really start until, I want to say, halfway through the season. The first half, you know, I found myself being a bit bored and, you know, checking my phone every time she's on screen, because I don't want to blame season 1 for this, but season 1 kind of lied to its audience a bit. You know, like, you know, they set up Cottonmouth as this, you know, main villain of the show, but then turned out it was Mariah all along. Like, Mariah was the one you should be paying attention to. Mariah should be the one you know, the audience should be invested in, right? But the whole time it was Cottonmouth, and, you know, the moment he died, you got a new one, which is Diamondback. So, had I known that, you know, Mariah is going to be the main villain of the show, maybe I would have been more interested, but that's just me. I feel like the first half of her character arc was a bit weak, but once you got to episode 6 or 7, that's where her character sort of evolved and turned into this monster of a person that you just love to hate. And again, that performance from Alfre Woodard, it is mind-blowingly good, because emotionally this is a very challenging role to play, and you know the actress, she did a wonderful job. This is not really a spoiler, but you guys know that Iron Fist, Danny Rand, is in this season of Luke Cage, right? Don't expect him to be in it, a lot. He's only in it for one episode, and for me, that was my, arguably my favorite episode of the season. Even though it's kind of a filler episode, but it was so much fun, and seeing Luke Cage and Danny Rand working together, oh god, it's just every comic book nerd's dream come true. Now, Luke Cage is a soundtrack-driven show. The score is not all that, it's not like Daredevil when have an amazing score. Luke Cage depends a lot on the soundtrack, and I love how the music sort of interact with the scene. Like when you cut to the Harlem Paradise, the club, right? And you would have these musicians playing music. They would have, like a montage of, different scenes, different setting, and different characters. And the music really helped drive the story forward. And that's what I love about the use of music in this show. It's not just there for the sake of a nostalgia, or like a cool little scene where, a character would walk in slow motion and you have like really cool music in the background. The music is very much a character in the show, and it is part of the character development. It is part of the story. Two of them in particular that I really really Night Nurse. There's a song called Night Nurse. When I heard that, Luke Cage and Claire Temple, they were having coffee, right? And this song came on, and like the singer, he was like, "My night nurse." I was like, whoa, they just did that. Like, you don't even have to call her Night Nurse. You just have a song called Night Nurse, and that's the trick. And another song called You're Gonna Leave. It is beautiful. Now, there are some minor flaws with this season. It's not a perfect season by any means. Some editing choice did not work for me. Sometime when they would have like a callback to certain events that took place in the past, sometimes just like a quick lines of dialogue, would be enough. But they felt the need to show like footage of what happened, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes, again, just the dialogue would have been enough. Like, there are a couple of scenes where like the events being mentioned just happened minutes ago. They didn't have to show like no footage of what happened. Like, I remember, as an audience, I remember what happened. If it was something that happened in like the first season or like in the Defenders, then maybe. So some of those editing choice was a bit off. And in the season finale, one character decided to sing a song in a particular part. And for me, like from an artistic point of view, I could see why they did it. But it didn't really make any sense to me. It did not work for me at all. Like, why would this character sing? Like, I know why, but I know why she would sing. I just wonder if there was a better way to show the message and the theme and, all the things that they're trying to evoke. Instead of having this character just like sit down sing. That was really weird. All in all, Luke Cage Season 2 is a fantastic follow-up to a really, really good Season 1. It got an intriguing storyline, some amazing character development. A lot of, new characters are very, very welcome addition to the show. And again, I really love what they did to a couple of returning characters, especially Shays. I love Shays in this season. Some editing choice didn't really land, but overall, I had an amazing time watching this season of Luke Cage. Luke Cage Season 2 gets a 9 out of 10.